Hi there, this is called time off the Taimanov in the Taimanov variation of the Sicilian, when black could do with a mild dose of what we call deferring gratification and avoid taking what turns out to be a fatal poisonous pawn. e4 the Sicilian with c5, knight f3 and e6. White puts the pawn in the center, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, and the Taimanov variation with knight c6. Knight c3 is met by queen c7, and white continues to develop bishop e2. Black takes the b5 square with a move a6, and in this position white will most frequently play castles followed by bishop e3, but not really too important if the move order is reversed. Bishop e3 extremely common here as well. After knight f6 and castles, black will most typically play bishop b4, and in fact this has been played by some former world champions, Anatoly Karpov and Vichy Anand, as well as by Judith Polgar and by Vachier Legrave. That move targets the knight on c3, perhaps wanting to trade and weaken white's pawn structure with ugly double pawns. So the knight moves to the rim, knight a4, but in so doing offers up this pawn now on e4. Can black take that pawn? Well, if black takes the pawn, he's basically busted. It allows white now a good couple of free tempos. First of all, knight takes on c6. That's going to be met by queen takes on c6. And now the knight on the rim can invade the hole on b6. Knight b6 hitting the rook on b8. So the rook on a8, I'm sorry, which slips over now to b8. And now queen d4, another free tempo for white, as that hits the bishop on b4 as well as the pawn on g7. That's one of the drawbacks in these type of variations, when the bishop comes out too early from f8, can leave the g7 pawn loose. So now the bishop goes home to defend g7, and bishop f3 now pins the knight on e4. That knight is going nowhere, and that's going to have to be defended. Any defense now leaves black in total ruin. Black is already well lost. Let's just have a look at a couple of variations here. If say d5 first, then white will hit that pawn with c4, and potential swaps. The rook might be coming to c1. This pawn is hit 3 times. It's all over here for black. Maybe knight c5. That could be met by queen e5, an in-between move hitting the rook on b8. That's going to be winning material for white straight away. If bishop d6, then the queen now can take on g7, rook f8. Black is totally busted. And going back to bishop f3, if f5, white can win in any number of ways. Rook a d1 is certainly going to be enough, as is bishop h5 check first. If g6, then the rook on h8 drops, and if after bishop h5 again, if king d8, then rook a d1 again is clearly winning here for white. So this has been called the time off the Taimanov in the Sicilian defense Taimanov variation. Thanks for watching. Bye.